Hello everybody, it's Lady Kaylah here, and today I'm going to talk about sexual assault in the cosplay community, and I'm going to do this blog first before I do something that's a lot more strung together and collected, which I will be putting on my main channel, which is a lot more vulnerable than my blog channel, so let's get this blog out of the way first. So basically what's happened, especially in the Southern California community, I don't know if it's starting to spread to other communities or other cosplay communities, but in the Southern California cosplay community, a brave woman came forward about a cosplayer who raped her, and from that other women have come forward about people who have raped them or assaulted them. And obviously we just have the victim's word, and so it started to put a lot of pressure on a lot of people. I personally always believe the victim, and I think this is the perfect opportunity now more than ever to at least address the issue, because there's a lot of people out there who are not taking sides, who are not, even acting like anything has happened. And while you can take whatever side you like, if you're part of the cosplay community, you should at least be talking about preventative measures. You should at least be talking about this being an issue, this being a possibility. No matter who you believe or what side you're on, you should be aware that this could happen, that this has always been a possibility, that this has always been an issue. So the fact that a lot of prominent cosplay members and hosts and event organizers have not taken the opportunity to at least start talking about consent and talking about their safety, of the people who attend their events, of the people they take under their wing, of the people that they party with, is absolutely mind-blowing. So I'm going to talk about my experience. Not talking about any personal experiences I went through. I luckily have not been assaulted by anyone in the cosplay community. I have luckily stayed away from anybody who's made me feel uncomfortable. And I have luckily have been surrounded by people who have forewarned me about any possible creeps. So I have always been able to avoid assault thus far. But I feel like if our prominent cosplayers and our hosts and our event organizers aren't going to talk about it, then it's still not going to happen. So here I am, a small-time cosplayer, a freaking nobody, is trying to talk about these issues that people in power, people who have power, should be talking about. So when I say that I'm going to talk about my experience, I'm going to talk about what happened that day when this brave woman came forward about her rapist. And I did a written blog post about it. I'm going to use it to guide me to make this video. Basically, what this event showed me was that popularity and fun and entertainment rule all. That those three things are more important than the safety of our cosplay peers. That is what I've been shown in light of this event. I've already suspected that popularity was already a toxic element in the cosplay community, because I have seen other cosplayers treat their fellow cosplayers like crap just because they're not as big as them. I have seen cosplayers befriend bigger cosplayers just to get more popularity and then dump them when they become more popular than they were. I have seen people use each other. I have seen people bully each other. I have seen people do terrible things in the name of popularity, and this brought it to a whole new, a whole new level to see that because someone was popular, just how far people were willing to go to defend a accused rapist despite having no clue what has happened or what had happened. So after this woman came forward, a couple of other women came forward about the same person. And as soon as that happened, I then felt that I should share the news because, you know, it never, I already believed the singular victim, but as soon as I saw other women come forward, I was like, this went from an isolated incident, which never should have happened, to an epidemic. And so I shared the information, I checked the person that they were talking about, and we had 22 mutual friends. After I shared the information, after I saw lots of the cosplay community share the information, the 22 mutuals dropped to 20. So what I had to say on the matter, or what I decided to do on the matter next, especially since so many women came forward, and on top of the women coming forward, people who knew this cosplayer were saying comments such as, "I'm not surprised," or "I removed myself from their company a while ago because of this kind of behavior." And first of all, how this person went along with not surprising predatory behavior for so long is beyond me, and how, you know, someone didn't come forward about their assault by him for this long. It just shows wonders about the community and how, you know, when someone's a little more popular or charismatic or more socially adept than they are, you know, they feel like even though they're the victim, they're powerless against someone who is like that, someone who is more charismatic than them, especially in the cosplay community where popularity reigns. And, you know, if you have an accusation against somebody who tends to have lots of friends, who tends to be very charismatic, who tends to be more popular, you have people who don't even know the person that are saying, "I can't believe they did that," when they had never met this person in their life. They're just saying that because they admire their cosplay and they admire the amount of views that they get, the amount of followers that they have, you know, stuff like that. And so what I decided to do was personal message the remaining 20 mutual friends that I had with this person. And after I PM'd them, I jumped the gun and I unfriended all of them until I felt like I could, or I waited until they read the messages, and then I was going to unfriend them until I felt like they could be safe into my life again. Because it had already been like 48 hours at this point with that information out, and I already knew a couple of other cosplayers who were personal messaging these people. So the chances are that these people saw it on their feeds, and chances are they already got a personal message on it on top of my personal message. After that, I waited some, and I saw that nobody else had unfriended this person. And how anybody would want to be in cahoots with an alleged rapist was beyond me. Like, I couldn't understand it. So I wrote the following response. I wrote, "A sad and unintentional social experiment happened today. I PM'd many mutuals of a known rapist in the cosplay community about his rape. The saddest part? Not the ones that stayed silent, but the ones who wrote back. They wrote back saying that they believed the victim, that this was appalling, that no cosplayer in the community should feel unsafe. And how many of these saying this unfriended the rapist? You guessed it. 0. None. No one. I am no longer accepting half-assed support against sexual violence. Your false support is equally dangerous, if not more so, than those who stay silent. You cannot say you support us women and then be friends with the men who put their unwanted hands on us. You are not safe. You have sided with rape. I repeat, you have sided with rape. Now, the ones who stayed silent, the ones who choose sides, those aren't even the people that I'm worried about, because I'm already well aware that victim blaming happens in the community. I'm already well aware that there are those lukewarm people who will always be like, well, we'll never know what happened, and it's true. You never know what happened. You weren't there, we weren't there, I wasn't there. So I'm well aware that those kinds of people exist. But because false accusations are so rare, and because so many other women came out about this person, and because so many people who were actually close to this person, and I personal messaged people who were close to this person, said that they were not surprised by his behavior, speaks volumes. But like I said, the lukewarm people who don't want to choose sides, I'm not even worried about them. The ones that I am worried about are the ones that say, oh, you should feel safe in the community. Oh, I believe the victim. Oh, you know, I am taking the victim side. And then, yet remain friends with the rapist. So I jumped the gun and I unfriended everyone that was friends with him because I was this emotionally riled up. I was so... It wasn't even like an anger. It wasn't a fear. It was a deep-rooted disappointment and disgust with my own community. So I just unfriended everyone who was friends with him at the time. I felt like I shouldn't have it shouldn't have been like pulling teeth to get people to not be friends with a rapist or an alleged rapist or an accused rapist. And the fact that only 2 out of the 22 people who heard about this news unfriended him was ridiculous. And I only had like 1 or 2 people who I PM'd who were very understanding about the situation, very patient with me and my kind of emotional involvement in this topic. And one of them had I think only like 1 or 2 of them had like a valid reason for staying mutual friends with them. And one of them did tell me that they were sticking around so they could see their response. They wanted to see if this scumbag was going to say anything. So I felt a little more secure in why that person was remaining friends, but even that person decided like it wasn't worth it, that they were going to unfriend them, because if they were going to make a statement, they would have made a statement already. So, or maybe they just felt like it wasn't worth it because they knew how many of their female cosplayers were hurting over this and were emotionally invested in this. So even they ended up unfriending the accused rapist, in which I really appreciate that. I really do. So this just goes back to what I call popularity in the cosplay community and how toxic it can be, how much we focus on the fun and entertainment elements without putting emphasis on the safety. You know, because cosplay has blown up so much, we end up congregating, we end up, you know, drinking together, we end up being in vulnerable situations with each other, we end up, you know, even having sleepovers, you know, in one case, you know, it was a date. In another case, I think it was still a date, but this person, had seen this cosplayer in the community so often that when they saw that they were tired, they invited them over and um, explicitly said, here, you can sleep in my bed, you can take a nap, but I don't want to have sex with you. And yeah. And you spend so much time with these people, you spend so much time partying with these people, going out with these people, seeing them at events, that you think you can just invite them into your bed and be safe. I don't know, like, I've slept with tons of friends. I used to live in a party house where, there would be people too drunk to go home, and, I'd invite them to sleep on my couch, I'd invite them to sleep on my bed. Nothing had ever happened because they respected me and they knew what consent meant. And it's sad that these people had the same faith and trust in these cosplayers, and then it was taken away from them just like that. And the saddest part was a lot of these women did for the sake of, knowing how popular or well known these cosplayers were in the community, because these cosplayers were so, like I said, more socially adept and kind of well known by other people and had the same friend groups as these people. They try to brush it off and they try to stay silent and, smile and just be like, haha, we're still friends. And it was killing them inside. And this is why I'm saying the popularity aspect of cosplay is really, really toxic and really, really dangerous. And, I hear a lot of cosplay, like at events, we have signs that say, cosplay is not consent. I've been to quite a few club cosplay type events, and that's not to say just club cosplay, the event. I'm talking about events that are cosplay oriented clubs. They, in the beginning of their shows, always make a mention of, cosplay is not consent, don't touch other people. They do make a note of it, but that's about as far as it goes. And putting up a sign and putting up a little note or blurb that's like 3 minutes long or less, I don't even think the blurbs are even 3 minutes, is not enough. You need to be putting constantly on your event page how you are keeping your cosplay community safe. You need to constantly be talking about consent and boundaries and, how to safely report these things. Make yourself safe spaces. You can sit on the stage and say, hey, don't touch each other, but if I get touched and I don't feel like you're a safe person that I can go to and be like, hey, so-and-so touched me, because you are going to be more focused on sweeping it under the rug so that way your event is all fun and games, then it's not really worth it. It didn't really mean anything at the end now, did it? So in light of all this, I've only seen one event, a pair of two of a certain event that actually came forward and straight up addressed the issue. That straight up said there's a problem in this community and we need to talk about it. One said, I have children that I do not feel, safe growing, like letting them grow up in this community anymore. They're beautiful young ladies and they're getting more and more beautiful as years go by. And And these two people are the only ones that had anything to say, like directly about the situation that was happening. I haven't seen any other event organizers that I know of or hosts share any consent articles, say that, they are worried or that they feel for the victims. Nothing. Not a word. And I don't know what's going to happen because I know that some of these communities have dumped people who have been creeps. Um, you know, I know a couple of people who are no longer invited to events because they were creeps. But when it came down to this, I haven't really heard anything. It's like everyone's scared of the word rape. But it happened, and it happened in the cosplay community, and it needs to be addressed. And we need, the very least, you don't even have to take sides, but at the very least, you can start sharing articles about consent, start making yourself a safe space, tell your fellow cosplayers who are looking up to you as hosts and event organizers, and tell them and be like, if anything happens at my event, come to me. But you guys aren't even offering that. And the silence is deafening. It truly is. So there's my blog post. Hopefully the one I post on my main channel will be a little more together, but I think this pretty much covers it for now. So thank you for your time. I will be posting my articles in the comments below because one article is just kind of a response article, and the second article is more of an informative article. And the article titled "What Can We Do to Keep Our Cosplay Community Safe" is actually full of links and resources about consent and victim blaming and rape culture and so on that you can use to further educate yourself if you guys are a little unaware of the topic or not very learned on the topic. So, thank you for your time. Bye.